Want some, get some. Can I get a hell yeah? Yes, I am a pirate.
You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything.
It's a pirate's life for me. Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're pirate.
It is a first down. Pirates.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. When you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there.
You live with Omaha? I can promise you that. And it's purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul, and I don't back down not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
All right, welcome in to Extra Innings here on a rainy Sunday night in Williamston, North Carolina. I don't know about other places, but welcome in, Mr. Alan Vick. How are you, sir? AV.
I'm good, David. How are you? Update: it is raining here in Winterville, so it is wet across most of the area.
All right, Johnny, how about you? Do you have welcome in Johnny Stats Robertson?
Hey, fellas. Well, I'm pretty close to Allen, I think. I'm Greenville, technically, but I'm pretty close to Winterville. What is the line, anyhow? That confuses me. Is it Regency? Is it Fire Tower? I'm not sure.
It's where I'm at is considered Winterville, and you go up, a half mile up towards the boulevard, and you're in Greenville. And then you go up further towards, and you're in Ayden, obviously going up 11.
Right.
There's several little boundary areas. Greenville and Winterville have basically run together now.
Yeah, and Winterville's expanding. A lot of the, like Lowe's and all that, the newer stuff. I spend, I think, more time in Winterville than I do in Greenville when it comes to like just going out and running errands and stuff. But yeah, it's raining here. To answer your question, it is raining.
All right, so it's a rainy Sunday night. Maybe for some, maybe not for Pirate Nation, but we're not raining as far as our week 4-1. We'll take it. Yesterday's game, we'll talk about no runs. But overall, I counted up, and I don't even have to be Johnny Robertson. I believe it was 60 runs for the week, and you have 14, I believe, for the opponents. So pitching still doing very, very well. Proud about that. And guys, you have to play who's on your schedule, but I felt like it was a 4-1. We would have liked to have the sweep, but we did beat Penn today on a walk-off, and we'll talk about that 8-7. But overall, very happy with this week, and you can always do better. But this team, I think, is going to be okay. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You want to be 5-0, obviously, but 4-1's fine. I think we found out too that even though Penn's record is not great, they're a very scrappy, competitive baseball team.
Josh Thomas says halfway down Fire Tower till you get to Evans, Johnny. He's talking about Winterville. That's like the Winterville boundary. Yeah, I guess so. All
right, I'm going to differ from y'all. I'm not happy with 4-1. I mean, it beats 3-2, which we were perilously close to being 3-2. But I just don't think, losing to Penn in anything other than, like some sort of IQ contest or something, I just don't think that it should have happened. And I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, we had our chances. We'll talk about game 2. We'll talk about that. I don't want to go out of order, but I really wanted 5-0, and especially the way we started. We continued what we did at Coastal on Sunday, and the Tuesday and Wednesday games were just not even competitive. And then the first game against Penn showed the same thing. And then you know what happens when you get too comfortable? Then reality checks in, and that's what happened with me. Anyhow, I was like really, really high on Pirate baseball, and I still am, but I was just thinking, okay, it's going to be the same thing these last 2 games, and Penn's just we talked about it before. Pitching is everything. They have two good pitchers, and their Saturday guy was lights out, and our Saturday guy was lights out. They were able to get a run in. We weren't. That was the difference. But, we had our chances to win that game. So I just would, I wish we could have gone 5-0, but it is what it is. We've got to move on.
Oh, and let's see here. Let's go here. John White, so the two runners on in game 2 with no outs and not scoring, gut punch. And today was very close to a loss.
And we also had a runner on third base in the 3rd, 4th, and 7th inning and couldn't get him home. And I mean, just any of those, would have been huge, but we just couldn't do it. Not for lack of trying or effort. It's just we couldn't do it.
Johnny, do you know what our runners in scoring positions percentages off the top or even before this weekend?
I'm not sure. Rephrase that question. What do you mean?
All right. So like the runners in scoring position, do we have?
Oh yeah, Dave. No, I don't know exactly what that is.
Okay. That's something you remember last year. I just want to bring up a point. Last year was last year, I know, but that's something, if you remember, we had problems with we had plenty of guys on base, but we couldn't get them home, and runners in scoring position, a lot of them. And finally, in the latter part of the season and then the tournament, we put things together. We did better, obviously, then. We held our own, but we couldn't beat Coastal. Just curious to see, is it with that runners in scoring position thing, how do you get that guy? How do you get the guys around,
Well, I think one thing we should probably stop doing. Well, John White's listening, so he can add his opinion as the next pitcher. But Grady Linehan, if you remember his first at bat, they asked him to bunt runners over into scoring position, and he popped it out and killed the rally. And it's not Grady's fault. He was trying. It was his first at bat. But man, he did it again there. And, when the game was on the line, he popped it out in the 9th inning there when we had runners on first and second, nobody out. So I would say one of the ways to get these runners home is either let Grady, I think is what John would say, is let Grady try a drag bunt. But as far as just bunting, that's not his thing, man. We said that he didn't have any weaknesses. Maybe that's one of them. He's not the world's best bunter, but, with a drag bunt, you can kind of overcome those deficiencies and still get the job done.
Let me ask you guys something, because I know there's some people that we call it small ball, but in baseball, as far as bunting, I think Johnny, you're right. I think there's an art to it, but also to me, Linehan, he actually is one of those guys that can knock it out of the park. So I'm not saying that he doesn't want to help his team or anything like that, and maybe he doesn't know how to bunt. But to me, if he doesn't feel comfortable doing it, then let him be who he is.
Yeah, I think they would have let him swing away if he wasn't 0 for 8 for the weekend.
That's true.
The only time he got on base was when he got hit by a pitch, and he ended up scoring. But he ended up 0 for 9 because he fouled out on that bunt attempt. So Grady's in a funk right now. I mean, that was our guy. He's the RBI leader, but he was just killing it. And, I don't know. The pitchers are either there's a book out on him or he's just in a little mini slump. But I'm sure he'll get on track again.
No doubt. And obviously with it's one good thing, too, I think, is, guys, we still have, 4 games of a homestand left with Elon. We'll talk about that later in the show. And obviously with UAB, I always want to say that the Trailblazers. I don't know why I want to call them the Trailblazers. Anyway, the Blazers, wrong sport, wrong level. But the Blazers over UAB coming up. So I think it's nice to have you've still got the homestand going. You've won. I know that I agree with you, Johnny, as a whole, as far as we want that sweep really bad. We're going to have to 12-8-1. There's going to be 30 some games left if it's 56 games. So you, like Kyle said, we got to put, if there was how did I want to say it? If there was a perfect weekend for a sweep and for us to get back on track, I do think though, overall, I've said that a number of times, 4-1 we'll be fine, and we'll see how we do it. Elon beat NC State, so we can't sleep on them. But I also know that the great thing about baseball is anything can happen any day. You roll out there and on the diamond, anything can happen. So it's more of a parity, I think, in baseball and college baseball, this particular thing, than a lot of your other college sports.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's the point I was going to make. How many times do you see in the major leagues the division leader plays the cellar dweller for 3 games or whatever, and the cellar dweller takes a game? The 1-0 game is just baseball. Our bats have been hot. We've been hitting the ball great. And Saturday went the other way. And to me, that's just baseball. It's the ebb and flow of baseball. Even though it was a tough day today, we responded, we won the game. If you look at what we're doing overall over the last couple of weeks, this team is playing really, really good baseball. And a lot of things have come around that were not working early in the year. And I fully expect it. If we had lost today, and again, I think Penn, obviously Penn's not a great baseball team, not really even a good baseball team, but they're a competitive baseball team. I think they proved that against Texas A&M. They proved that against us. So it's baseball. We won 6 out of 7, something like that. And I don't know. Certainly you want to win them all, but that's just not the way things work. So overall, I'm satisfied.
Talking about Linehan bunting, by the way, John White says in that situation he has to bunt. Any batter would have to bunt there. That is where you bunt. He struggles with squaring around about better at a drag style bunt. I mean, that's the thing, is that I think also it may be in a situation, we talked about Alex Boucher and all that last year. Baseball, as I've heard all my life, is a game of failure. And, look at all the big name guys we've seen over the years watching on the super stations over, decades or whatever. I know I miss those so much. But how many guys you were able to watch that all of a sudden they had a summer slump and you're like, what in the world? Like, this guy looks like he's never played baseball before, hit a ball before. And then all of a sudden something happens and they click. And then Grady's going through this right now. We talked about, you remember Johnny and Allen? We talked about Colby Wallace. Colby Wallace had a time when what the heck is going on or whatever. There's always, in other words, there's always a guy. It's a team game. We're not going to expect every single guy to be on fire every single day. That's just not reasonable. No. That's what we want to happen. I'm not saying that making excuses, but yeah, just like today, it's raining right now. I'm not a fan of rain, but hey, it's raining. So how do we deal with that adversity?
It was the 9th inning, so we could have substituted for him and put in somebody else, but we didn't have that option really. We got some injury issues that we'll talk about. Plus, I mean, Cliff was using everybody he could to try to win that game, and that bench was very, very, very short. So, he didn't have all options available. And, like John said, you do have to bunt in that situation. It's just, I hate to see him being asked to do that, knowing that that's not his, strength. But
yeah, Kenny says, not a perfect week, but got one? We will continue to get better. Our, recent newlywed a few months ago, the alum of when he was here with us, our good friend Brendan Shapiro says, I think this team has a ton of potential, but man, we got to find a way to be more consistent. If we played the best we could most games, I have no doubts this team could host a regional. No question, Brendan. And one of these days we'll be able to, maybe in May, we'll know more about that. Not a perfect week, not too bad. We will get better every game. Hope the pitcher is okay. He's talking about
Colby
Welber, who got hurt today. And you guys know any more about that injury?
Yeah, I'm afraid that we've probably seen the last of him for the year. I don't want to, Dave, I do not want to, I'd like to retract that statement because I have no idea. I was told initially it was a blister, but the way he was looking at his forearm and shaking his hand, I think maybe there's some nerve issues, which would mean that there's some arm structure issues that would make him miss the rest of the season probably. Well, he would redshirt. He can still redshirt, I believe.
Yeah, if you looked at his body language leaving the field, that was not a blister. And again, I don't know anything. I'm not a physician, but you noticed how emotional he got walking off the field. Hopefully, I mean, again, we hope for the best. We don't know, and we don't need to speculate. We just hope for the best. But it didn't look good. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and without him, Dave, it really. I mean, Jenkins is going to most likely have to move into the Sunday starter, and that just kills our bullpen. And not to mention the fact that Nick Moran was a potential starter, and he's just giving up home runs like nobody's business his a few times out there. And he was so dominant before that. I mean, he looked unhittable. So hopefully he gets back to where he was with that. And I thought that the rest of the pitchers all did some good things this weekend.
No doubt we'll tell you our TSO player of the game and pitcher of the game. We'll have that coming up in a little while. So you guys I know you guys have more brain cells than I'll ever hope to have. So we'll put you to the test, both of you, on who the player of the game, or player of the week, I should say, and the pitcher of the week. And we'll be talking about that. I think I know the pitcher of the week more than I do the player of the week, but we'll get to that. And I've been thinking about that today. So we'll just try to, we'll figure that out in a little while. Let's, do you guys want to recap the 3 games? And obviously we'd already talked about the midweek games, and there was a lot to talk about because there were, like you said, Johnny, that 24 on Wednesday and 11 on Tuesday. The Tuesday game, of course, home with Old Dominion, and Wednesday on the road. And I swear it was funny to see that 24-3 score. It looked like 1970s Pat Dye football where you have William and Mary against East Carolina. But anyway.
Hey, good turnout by Pirate fans for that game. It was a 2 to maybe 3 to 1 representation. More purple and gold than, I guess, they're green and gold. We definitely took over that facility, which was an interesting place to watch a game. I liked it, but I wouldn't want that to be my home field. That's for sure.
John White says the positive, if Weber is out, is you have Sean Jenkins who will fill the third starter. Absolutely. I think this is a situation. I told you guys at the beginning of the season, and it sounds so repetitive and cliche, but injuries are like one of the worst things it's a thing that I hate the most about sports. But this particular case with our pitching, thankfully, the one positive you can look at, if you want to put a spin on things, is thankfully we are deep enough that if, let's say, hypothetically, I'm glad both of you said that. We're not going to speculate. If it's something that's not as serious as it looked, then hey, then maybe you get him back. But John White says emotion told the story. Exactly, Alan. And I think we'll see what we can, it's one of those things where we'll just hope and pray, for the best. There's a lot of players that when they go out or whatever, but in this situation with baseball, guys, we talk about this in football, basketball, and baseball. It's the next man up. And we have guys in the bullpen, and we have guys that potentially can start. So we've just got to just navigate like a pirate navigate through the storm. And I think we have enough with us that I did want to ask this question, and I talked to Johnny and Alan. I didn't get a chance to talk to you. I apologize for running late to our viewers and listeners. It's been a long weekend. But anyway, I just wanted to get your take, John White, and I'm going to put you on the spot. But I thought it was interesting because Patrick and Mike Mullis was talking about with Norby. It's like he easily can get 2 outs, and I'm not criticizing him on any stretch of the imagination because I never had talent anywhere close to him, nor am I criticizing the pitching coaching staff. But it just seems like something's happening. He gets way ahead, and he gets 2 outs, and he can't finish the inning. And that maybe too strong of a statement, but they were talking about it, so I didn't feel quite as bad, like I was in, no pun intended, left field. But anyway, I hope that we'll see what happens. But I just want to get y'all's take, and obviously John White, former Pirate pitcher, how they feel.
Yeah, hopefully John chimes in, because he's certainly better equipped to answer that than I am. But I'll be honest, after every game, every weekend series, I say, hey, I'm not worried about Norby. I'm not worried about him. And I'm still really not. And I'm still so thankful that we have him as one of our starters. But I mean, it's just, there's something that's just, he needs to fix. Might be something minor. I don't know. John would know better. But there's something that he's just working too hard to get these outs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Irby told the guys in left field, by the way, in the jungle, this is Josh Thomas, that it was a blister for Weber. Maybe.
No, that was Davin Whitaker.
Oh, Davin Whitaker. Okay.
Yeah, he's not a doctor though, Dave.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Nor am I. And none of us on this show ever pretend like we know about injuries or anything. We're not talking heads to say, oh, it's definitely this or it's definitely that, because I'll give you guys a perfect example that has nothing to do with baseball. But as you know, in Martin County, we had very bad weather, and we were not the only place in eastern North Carolina on Thursday. And I had a lot of people saying, don't you think it's a tornado? Don't you think? Well, as of yesterday or today, they don't, none of the weather folks, the experts, have officially said it's a tornado. It might have been tornado-like conditions, but I was careful not to put on Facebook or talk to anyone and say, I kept saying, and I still do, I have not heard it being a tornado, right? So the same thing with this. We have to be abundantly cautious to say that it's something major or say it's minor when it could be either one, and we don't know.
Yeah. And, I got some more injury news. Okay, so just to wrap up Williamsburg, because I was at that game, and I will say that Chance Hall, first base hit as a Pirate, happened. Blade Carver, if it wasn't for just a ridiculous catch by the left fielder for William and Mary, Blade Carver would have had his first hit as a Pirate, and Parker Bird got a base hit.
That was awesome.
So it was all really cool to see. And then I went to grab a drink, and there's only one bathroom at that stadium. There can be a line sometimes because it's not a big big restroom. And here comes Jack Vogeley, and I was just kidding around, and I said, "Hey," I said, "I hope they don't call your number while you're in there." He said, "No, don't worry about that." He said, "I can't play. I'm hurt." But he didn't really look hurt. But today I saw a player in the dugout with a walking boot and crutches, and I asked Davin Whitaker who it was, and he said, "That's Vogie." So Jack's out for a while too.
Well, yeah, it's we're in obviously a tough situation, but anyway, here's let's see. John White responds with, he has yet to find his groove. We're talking about Norby, and I, just like I said, I don't want to be sounding like that guy that's a hot take and I'm crushing Norby when he's very good as a pitcher. It's just something not quite there for me. But he said he's yet to find his groove and not throwing his off speed as good as in the past. The 4 walks was something you never see. And he said our good friend Bubba Rosenbaum had a video I saw where something that caught my attention. And he said another conversation is it would take a breakdown episode. Well, thank you, John, because I'm glad the experts like yourself, I told Johnny this, I think it was yesterday. The days are running together, forgive me, but I felt bad because it was like until I saw the Friday night, it was yesterday, until I saw Mully and Patrick talking about it, then it was kind of like I felt like I was being too hard on him, when he's a lot better. Like I said, he's forgot more about pitching than I would ever know. But anyway, Josh Thomas says, Davin, my bad, talking about who talked to them in left field today when it comes to the injury of Weber. Matt Semenza, our good friend. What's up, Matty Ice? Who was at the Big East tournament, our Big East correspondent.
Oh, man.
He has an issue with his team. The great ECU teams show up every day. It's a mentality and attitude. If we don't get that walk off today, this series is a disaster. Yeah, that was coming back home today. I'm like, I think and I want to say this too, by the way. The thing that I love about these Cliff Godwin teams is they fight. And so you have this mentality. Speaking of mentality, as a fan, someone that covers this team for a number of years, you're like, it's a Cliff Godwin team. We're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. And what happens is the first inning, then a few more innings, it's the fourth inning. Like yesterday, I just kept thinking, we're going to win this thing. We're going to win this thing. And then when it's 1-0, you're like, oh, man. I would say, too, that quality, you got to look at quality at bats. It's like in basketball, you see we have the big dance, and obviously I'll talk about a subject matter, by the way. I'm going to save this for remind me, guys, to talk to you about why are you bitter. Ask me sports-wise, Dave, why are you bitter today, if you can help me remember that. But anyway, it's like with basketball, with shot selection. There's times when a guy runs down. I don't care if you're a 50% three-point shooter and you shoot that ball when you're running down for a fast break and he doesn't get a good look and, bricks it. I'm just wondering about the at-bats, breaking it down. And I don't have the eyes of baseball that other people do.
You talking about yesterday's game?
Well, yeah. Well, we'll talk about, yesterday's game, because I felt like that. I just want to get y'all's opinion on that. But
here again, John can give his view, but from what I saw, very generous strike zone, very generous until Jenkins came in the 8th inning. Then all of a sudden he wasn't getting the same strikes that had been called for the first 7 innings. That's why there weren't a lot of scoring opportunities, because there were a lot of strikeouts and a lot of them looking like I want to say that we had 6 strikeouts looking. I'm talking about GVK, and that's a lot. That tells you that the umpire is giving you, a general. And plus, that game was fast. That game was like a little over 2 hours. So, that's what happens when you have a wide strike zone. The games are quick. You get a lot of strikeouts looking. You get a lot of strikeouts, period, and it just doesn't give you as many opportunities to score. That's part of the problem with our bats, I think.
Well, again, let's see. John White says, pitcher's dream strike zone. The knees were being called. Most umps in today's era do not call that. I was see, the sad thing is yesterday and today, I'll go back and look at these games. By the way, our radio broadcast I love so much, because Dylan Johnson and Coach O. Thank you, Coach O and Dylan Johnson, because I was able to listen to the games and yesterday and today. So I haven't been able to watch them, but listening, obviously I can't see the strike zone when I'm listening. But it's just something I'm wondering about, the at-bats. And again, we have our, my dad says this was not your day. I've said that many times with calling high school football. You can kind of feel when tonight is our night and, tonight is not our night. So
as a complete novice and knowing very little about the art of hitting, I will say something that I've noticed, and I noticed it today. Penn had a pitcher, I think he threw something like 7 or 8 straight balls. For me, I'm standing there until he throws me a strike.
Yep.
I'm not taking a swing until he throws me a strike. That's just me. Again, that's not a criticism. And then I think it was Irby who was at bat, and he got under a pitch for the 3rd out when we had a couple of runners on base. And again, I'm going to stand there and make that guy throw me.
He was struggling.
A strike or something. If he throws me something that I can jack out of the park, fine. But it's going to have to be something I know that I can hit out with no problem. And that's my only thing that I see. I think sometimes they might be a little bit too aggressive when the opposing pitcher is having trouble with his, accuracy and control.
Yeah.
That's just
good point. Good point.
I don't know, what from Shiola about, but that's just my observation. Sometimes I think we need to take more pitches. But
that's the one thing that's what's a lot of fans felt like last year we took too many pitches. And anyway, Josh said today we had to beat two teams, the Umps and Penn.
Hey, Josh, what do you think about the crowd? I was not impressed today at all, or yesterday, the whole weekend. I don't know what happened. Is there some type of I don't know what's going on, but man, the weather wasn't bad really, and there just weren't a lot of people there.
I realize they're doing the 1 o'clock Sunday starts to get Penn or whoever the opponent is out of
They
here.
got to get back home, but they're busted. So it's not like they had to make a plane reservation or anything.
But the problem is people go to church. You don't get out of church until 12:15. You're going to get something to eat. And so a 1 o'clock start is very tough for people who go to church and have to get situated with kids and meals and all to make a 1 o'clock ball game. I would like.
Good point, Alan, and I respect that very much.
I'd like to see the Sunday games moved into around a 2 o'clock start, if possible, if it's possible to do that.
That was two key points you just hit on, that and the travel situation. You got to get them, out.
Yeah,
but it doesn't really make for a huge crowd if at a 1 o'clock start.
Well, as you know, the American has that rule, right? Don't the games have to be done by 4? Or there's some kind of rule where, in other words, the point is, to y'all's point, what I'm trying to make is non-conference, we can schedule it pretty much, I think, any way we want to. But when it comes to conference, there's some rule that they're trying to get the game in by a certain time so that guys are not getting back so late to, like wherever they're. But that's, I don't know. Maybe somebody will help.
Not 4, definitely not 4, because most baseball games go over 3 hours. I think the drop dead time there may be 6 on. If I think is what you're talking about, Dave.
Yeah,
but it's definitely not 4.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, Alan.
Lots of things to do. Let's see. Students were on spring break last week, by the way, Lee. Last week, for talking about for East Carolina, they were back in school this week. And as Bubba said, they bust the game. So the game has to end. There's no way the game can start at 2 p.m. Josh says our drop dead time when conference starts, on Sunday. So next week, for example, we have UAB is our first conference series. There has to be a cutoff time. And I agree with you, Alan, though, 100%, and Johnny, about the 1 p.m. starts. And I had a fellow East Carolina fan who we were talking about the 6 o'clock starts on Friday nights. We don't have a problem with it, but we were talking about the fact that I want to be clear, it's not David, because administration thinks anything I discuss on there, I guess it's me. But the 6 o'clock start, you work to 5 o'clock, right? If you try to go out, just the same thing, Alan, if you try to go out and get dinner, then you're going to be late to the Friday night games as well. I think, and as someone who has East Carolina baseball tickets, who sells my tickets when I can't go, the Saturday games go by really quick. You can sell a Saturday game like that. The Friday nights, I know, are kind of slow. Sundays have been pretty good. And actually, the midweek games go by faster a lot of times. But anyway, I know a lot of it is dictated by the conference. So I'm not criticizing. It would be the same thing if we were there. Like if we were with the administration, some of it we have wiggle room on, and some of it we don't. So,
by the way, Dave, I was just going to. I started with the injury information, but I never really got to finish on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No. It's all good. We went to a different direction that was compelling, and it was, it was interesting. So we'll just return real quick. I'll wrap it up. I'll be brief. So, we lost before the season even started. We lost Braxton Trammell.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to be part of that corner outfield group, especially left field. Yeah. And then Alex Peltier was also supposed to be part of that. And Alex is really one of the better defenders and has a lot of speed. So Alex is going to have to redshirt. He can maybe play a few more games, Cliff said, as a pinch runner. Can't swing the bat. And then he's going to have to redshirt. And then the worst news ever today. I mean, Jack Herring is definitely Jack, as he's known in the jungle. He's definitely a fan favorite, and with good reason. I mean, he is a Pirate, and he made a diving attempt at a catch, and he jarred his shoulder. And I just hope that, that's a situation. I have no idea the severity of it. Maybe he'll be playing next game. I don't know. Or maybe he's out for a while. I don't know that either. But let's really hope that Jack gets back in a timely manner, because all of a sudden that outfield will be extremely thin.
I believe Cliff said in the postgame interview that it was dislocated, but a lot of times with a young person and a dislocated shoulder, you can pop it back in, and hopefully that's the case with Herring. It's just a minor dislocation. You could pop it back in and roll on. That's what we can hope for.
Right. John White said, okay, let me clarify this for everyone. This time is not to accommodate the fans on Sunday. It's about the team's travel. Penn had to bus it back to Pennsylvania. This game was getting close to be called a tie. Yeah, we understand that, John. What we're saying is there's two parts of that. The first part is we're aware that there's a time, for it's about team travel. So we get that. What we're saying is, if you're looking at the situation coming from, we want to see this place rocking, right, as fans and as, the program. And then we would like to see it, later start time. The problem is just like this, per the AAC, per the American, no inning can start after 4:30 on Sundays. So again, I'm not critical of Gilbert, because I already knew that that there was nothing we could do about that. So I'm not going to be criticizing something that he has no control over. That's not.
We're just talking about best case scenarios if we could do whatever. Yeah.
Right. We're just saying that as far as a fan's perspective, that you were saying because Johnny had mentioned that the fan, it didn't look as good today as far as from a fan perspective, but we were talking about the very fact, right, Johnny, that you have church and you get out of church, it's 12:15, and then you go try to get something to eat. It might be 1:30, 2 o'clock before you can you might be 30 minutes to an hour late, depending on traffic is not too much of an issue in Greenville, but as far as how many people are eating on Sundays, that is an issue.
Yeah.
Eating out.
Well, I agree. I don't have a church in Greenville, so I don't have that issue. But in Virginia, I mean, if I were, I wouldn't miss. I would go to church and then go to the game. Hopefully, I could, get there in a timely manner. But yeah, that I can understand that. I didn't even really think about that. It is Sunday, so yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's not, and so I want to be very clear one more time, in case people are halfway listening. I'm not being critical of Gilbert. When it would be the same if Johnny Stats becomes AD, he has to follow by the same rules as everybody else in the American. And I think that's pretty much a standard thing across every league. But anyway, let's definitely move on. We're going to be talking about coming up in just a little while. We'll have, if you're wondering, we've got the pitcher of the week, and we're going to have the player of the week. So stay tuned for that. And we want your input, because you know what? Johnny, myself, Alan, Kyle is still actually, I don't know what he's doing. He's waiting for more money, holding out. So we'll have to just see.
No, Kyle's in an Alabama concert.
I know. You're supposed to play along.
Oh, okay. Well,
anyway,
you forgot or something.
No, I did see that. He's listening to mountain music and all those great songs from Alabama. I'm just joking. I love Kyle to death. He knows that. But anyway, we'll be talking. We'll have our roundtable, and before that, we talked about the pitcher of the week and the player of the week, and we can break down these games, and we'll talk about March Madness. And I guess now, Johnny, you know where I'm talking about being bitter. But let's talk about these games. let's go back on Friday night. Again, we were talking about Norby started. Norbs got the ball at Lewis Field at Clark LeClaire Stadium on Friday night. And if you want to go ahead and Johnny, it's all yours as far as the talking about stats. That's what you do. And I'm going to pitch it to the expert.
I mean, it was very entertaining. I'll tell you that. Game was never in doubt. We scored 4 in the bottom of the first, took a 4-0 lead. And then, they did make it 4-3 after 3. But then we had a 9-run fourth, which just, that we knew right then we were going to have a 7-inning game. There was going to be a 10-run rule, the way we were swinging it, and they were their starter had been out at that point. So at that point, we knew it was going to get ugly, and it did. 17-3 final. We had 16 hits. They had 2. I'm sorry, they had 7. We had 16, and it was pretty much everybody contributed. I think we had 5 players. We had 5 players with multiple hits. Jack Herring with a grand slam.
How about that?
Yeah. Braden Burris, huge again. 3 for 4 with a walk. So he was on base 4 out of 5 plate appearances. Scored a couple of runs. Matt Lashley had a really nice game. Everybody, it wasn't just one person. Everybody contributed to that run total. And, we even had people come in off the bench and do their thing. So, Austin Irby, that was his best game of the weekend. He was 3 for 4 with 4 runs, 2 RBIs, home run. Again, Alex Boucher got his start. Got to start at DH, went 2 for 4, 2 runs, and an RBI. That's what I'm saying. Jeff Sabater had 2 RBIs. Everybody contributed. And I can't forget Colby Wallace, who was 3 for 4 with a run, 2 RBIs. And Colby's on a 10-game hitting streak. No, 9-game. He's on a 9-game hitting streak. When that hitting streak started at UNC Wilmington, he was batting .220. He's now batting .324. And during the hitting streak, he's batting .455 with a 500 on base percentage because he's walked 3 times. And he's getting it done. We kept saying Colby's going to hit the switch, and it happened. And he's the only person to have a hit in all the games this weekend. So, and I'm even including the 2, at the beginning of the week. So the 5 games he had, obviously if he has a 9-game hitting streak, he's hitting all 5 games, but he's doing well. So let's hope that continues. I'm sure it will. Hello?
Yeah, I'm not hearing you, Dave.
Sorry, I had it on mute. I apologize, guys. 17 runs, overall we played very well on Friday night. And do you want to move to Saturday now, Johnny, or?
Sure, but I can't do that, Dave, until I mention one more factor.
Okay, go ahead.
I told you Alex Boucher got the start at DH and did very well. He also pitched a full inning. And, he did give up a hit and a couple of walks, but he got a strikeout, didn't give up any runs. So it was a success. And then Joe Webb closed things out with his 2.2 innings. Alex, 1 inning pitch. He said he wanted to pitch. I don't know if y'all remember him saying, I want to pitch. And he got his chance. And, I don't think he's going to be a member of the bullpen, but he did okay. Didn't give up any runs, got a strikeout. So that was pretty cool. Is Dave muted again?
I think so. Dave, bye.
What in the world? Anyway, we're talking Pirate Baseball extra innings here on the Sports Objective. If you're just joining us for the first time, we do this every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. We'll have to, by the way, guys, remind me another crazy week as far as this week is concerned when it comes to our on deck show. So we have UAB coming up. So we'll have to take a look at that when we can make that happen. So we'll talk about that. Remind me off the air. But anyway, the Friday night game, well, we had one at that point was set 4 straight. Going into Friday night, we won that one. And then Saturday.
Yeah, we had won Coastal. And then we won Old Dominion, William and Mary, game 1 against Penn, 4 in a row. I think Dave's frozen.
Am I frozen?
No, I hear you fine now, Dave. I don't know how he does, but I can hear you with no problem.
Okay, John. I'm going to put that in my book. John says Alex Boucher has a hammer curveball. I think in pitching terms, that means it's good.
Yeah, I think so too. And Josh says Dave must have the WBC on in the background. No, I don't. I would love to be able to watch that as I'm a baseball fan, and they were talking about that on sports radio as I was coming home tonight. Like, what do we have to do with baseball as far as, the WBC?
I think you did freeze there, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely froze up there, Dave. I don't know if you can still hear us or not.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you froze up there for a couple of seconds.
Oh, well, okay. I was just saying that the WBC is a great thing for baseball.
Yeah, now that USA, thank goodness, was able to stay in it. They almost got eliminated, and now that we were able to stay in it, hopefully we can continue to win and move forward. Tonight, game.
Republic.
I got to flip it on and see where we are, but it's probably in the 3rd or 4th inning now, I would guess, at least.
No doubt about it. And
do that.
All right, sounds good. So, Johnny, do you have any final thoughts on Friday night? We good on that?
No, we're good.
All right. So Saturday, just like I said, for me, it's a good feeling to have. It's a winner's attitude when you know that Cliff Godwin is battling those. Obviously, the staff is battling. They're putting our guys in the best possible position they can. And you felt like with the way that with Gavin Van Keppen, the way that he pitched, he said, we're going to win this game because he is, pitching out of his mind. By the way, Josh says that USA is up 2-1 in the 4th if you're watching live. So thank you, Josh, for that. Definitely the Dominican Republic always has a great baseball. That's stating obvious. But this was going to be a great game for sure.
Yep, that's going to be always go down to the wire with the Dominican Republic. And like you said, Dave, they've had great baseball players and great tradition for a long time.
No doubt. Johnny, do you want to talk about with Saturday? What did you see?
I told you I saw a very generous strike zone, and I saw 2 pitchers that were in the zone. I mean, Gavin Van Kempen, 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, struck out 14, didn't walk anybody. This is the weird thing. It's really unusual when we don't get walked. Like, in other words, like, we always draw walks. The last time that we haven't drawn a walk was last season against Tulane. And I think it's 86 games. 86 games. In the last 86 games, we'd only been without being walked 1 time, and that was at Tulane. And now we not only did we not get walked, but we didn't give up any walks. So neither team had a walk. I don't know that I've seen that in a while. I'm going to have to do some research. And I'm sure it's happened before, but I don't recall. So that was very unusual. And again, that tells you that the strike zone was, a hitter's dream. So that was my take. It was 2 pitchers that were pitching very well and had an expanded strike zone. So they were almost unhittable. That's how you get to a 1-0 game. And then Sean Jenkins comes in the 7th. And I thought the strike zone was still pretty generous. But then in the 8th, he wasn't getting some calls. And then in the 9th, we had they got a leadoff double. The runner that scored the winning run, the game-winning run, hit a double that should have never have happened because he clearly was struck out. He clearly Jenkins to a strike. And I'm not just saying that. One thing about the jungle, we have guys that are really good at doing replay very quickly. So we watched it over and over again, and it was a strike. He didn't get the call. The guy ends up hitting a double, and that ended up being the winning run. He had to throw extra pitches in the 8th and 9th, in my opinion, because he wasn't getting strike calls that they were clearly just given away in the first 7 innings. So, I mean, that's an excuse. Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, you asked me what I saw, and that's what I saw, that, Sean just wasn't getting the breaks that the other pitchers were the first 7. So, but they won. They beat us. We had, like I said, we had runners on third base 3 different times. Couldn't get them in. It wasn't good. It wasn't what we wanted, but everybody was trying. It wasn't, nobody did anything stupid or anything. It just didn't go our way. Dave? What do you think about that, Alan?
Well, I agree. I just, like I mentioned earlier, it just baseball, man. It's a funky game. A bounce here, a bounce there, and I think that's what happened on Saturday. We had been so strong offensively for the 3 or 4 games before that, and we just had one of those. We see those 1-0 games all the time in every league and every facet of the game. It happens, and that's what happened to us on Saturday. We just couldn't push it across for whatever reason. So you'll probably see that. Hopefully not, but you'll probably see that again at some point this season. We'll probably be involved in another 1-0 game, more than likely. Just the way it goes.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it, Johnny, is that you have a situation like that where I think you're better. This is just my opinion. I think you're better off flushing the game and moving on versus trying to figure things out because not every day is sunshine. Like we were talking about earlier, there's going to be rain sometimes, and how we respond to that, we'll talk about today's game in just a minute. And then we have our roundtable still to come if you're just joining us tonight. So make sure you, by the way, like our show. And if you want, we'll take the super chats too. If anybody wants to give to our show, we'll put you first in line when it comes to comments and questions. And I'm sure Alan Vick can answer anything that you want to know about world peace. In there, anything about the Dalai Lama, a lot of stuff. He's a trivia master. So, super glue, gum, and the situation in Iran. I can answer any question you may have. All right. John White says hat tip to the pitcher. He was awesome, 90 to 91, but looked quicker to the plate. One of the best games they have seen by opposing pitchers. A shocker, 80 pitches. It was taken out to complete it. Is that the same guy that shut down Texas A&M as well? On Saturday, yeah, the 11-inning game. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so again. Before we wrap up Saturday, can I just tell you what Gavin Van Kempen has done over the last 2 weeks? Please, he's been a delight to watch. Against Coastal Carolina and Pennsylvania, 13 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 25 strikeouts. And he does not have a win to show for it because, unfortunately, the Pirates were shut out at Coastal and they were shut out against Pennsylvania and they only scored 1 run against Coastal. So he's had 1 run of support over those 2 magnificent outings. And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because he deserved to be a winner in both those games, but didn't happen. He's been lights out. I mean, and you see run support. There are some pitchers during the season, for whatever reason, just don't get the run support. It's just hard luck, and that's been but man, tell you what, he has been phenomenal. He has been, about as good as you're going to see. I think. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Gavin Williams wasn't getting any run support with the Cleveland. I hate calling them the Guardians, but that's what they are. The Cleveland Indians, Guardians. He was
not getting the run support. And he worked his way through it, but it's tough when you're a pitcher and you're throwing or pitching that well and just not getting anything to show for it. That's tough. But his ERA is that's not affected because it's, he's like you said, he's doing everything right.
Extra inning pitcher of the week. Would you go? I mean,
you got to go with that. Yeah, you have to. You have to.
I agree.
That's what I want to do. And let's do. By the way, let's do the player of the week really quick. Who you got, Johnny? I know this is a tough one for me, so I wanted to go ahead and put it out there, and we'll come back to.
Yeah, I mean, you can make cases for several guys. My choice is Jack Herring. He's my choice. He had 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. He was 3 for 8. I mean, Braden was 5 for 12 and had 2 runs, 4 RBIs. He had 3 doubles and a triple. And, Lashley had a really good weekend, 5 for 11, 3 runs, a double. But Jack Herring's home runs came at good times and important times. And he was, I think, our MVP of the week. And it's unfortunate that his, shoulder became disjointed or whatever. And hopefully he'll be back. But I would say Jack Herring.
That's fair to me because he did very well hitting the ball this week. And sorry to hear about the injury. Hopefully that will be something that'll be minor. And it's like anything else, Alan. A lot of these injuries, a lot of guys played with them all season long, and then they get in the off season, they'll get something surgery wise or something fixed,
Yeah, and with Jack, he's playing so well, and it was an effort injury, and that makes it even tougher when he's diving for a ball or whatever. But it's part of it. I mean, it happens, and hopefully, again, this location for you and I would probably be a hospital stay, but for him being a young kid, if it's just dislocated and hopefully there's no damage, they can pop that thing back in and he'll be good to go. That's what we're hoping for anyway.
Yeah, and also, I know we're not considering the Tuesday, Wednesday games, but if we were, Jack was 2 for 3 there with 6 walks.
2
runs, 3 RBIs. I mean, he walked 6 times in 2 games because they were pitching around him. It's got to be Jack Herring.
No doubt. So we have that for you. So GVK, pitcher of the week, Jack Herring, player of the week. So if you're wondering, those of you that were playing at home, then we've got that. And today, we win one.
Did we lose?
Oh, hey, I didn't mention. I'm giving shout outs to everybody, and I didn't give Colby Wallace. He was 5 for 10, so he's the only one that batted 500, and he had 4 RBIs and a run and 2 doubles, but he was up there. But I got to give the nod to Jack. So anyhow, I didn't want to forget Colby.
Yeah, great honorable mention, right, Johnny?
Yeah, absolutely.
He was one of the ones in the mix for me, but I definitely agree with you. I didn't know that's why we have Johnny Stats Robertson. I didn't know the exact stats, but I knew that Herring had a great week. And thinking about that, let's see. All right, we have a super chat, ladies and gentlemen. A win in Florida. Thank you for the $5.
A win.
Or a win. Yes, our studio audience that we don't have. I wish we did have wins. Amen to that. I think there's ever been a time maybe that.
Thank you, Win. I appreciate that.
What's Dave staring at?
I don't know. Dave is having some technical difficulties.
Oh man! Sometimes when it freezes,
I'll come out and then come back in.
That's the greatest expression I've ever seen. That I just it was right there. It's perfect. You need to.
I agree.
Freeze that for sure. But yeah, if you want to back out and come back in, Johnny, talk among ourselves. If you want to do that, so. Yeah, man, we're getting ready to go into the roundtable, and there's certainly a lot to talk about. What a busy weekend. So much going on sports-wise. If you're a sports fan, this is a tremendous time of year.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Though, I've been so wrapped up in Pirate baseball, I don't even know who's in the tournament yet, and that's my favorite thing of all is college basketball tournament.
Duke is we'll talk about it, but Duke is the #1 overall seed. 8 ACC teams made it, and I think 3 AAC teams, I'm correct on that. USF.
Yeah, they won the tournament. I do know
maybe
that.
2, may have been 2. I'm sorry. I think it might.
Yeah, I can't imagine we got 3 in.
Yeah, I think it was 2. But I tell you what, USF is going to be a tough out for somebody. I think they play maybe Louisville. I'd have to look at the brackets. I was watching the selection show earlier, but I haven't really looked at the brackets closely. I know NC State is in one of the first 4 games. They play Texas.
Yeah,
on Tuesday.
They deserve to be there, but I'm shocked. I thought they would be. I thought they'd have better results this year, but it's only year 1.
Yeah, I thought State would have been about maybe a 9 or 10 seed. Got to remember, they made the Final 4 run in 24.
Oh boy, who can forget that?
And then last did not even make the ACC tournament. So Keats got fired. Will Wade came in. So I can't. If you're a State fan, State basketball fan, you can't be too disappointed. You're going back to the tournament. You won 20 games. It's certainly a much better result than what happened last year.
So, guys, ask me why I'm bitter. Why am I having a tough day?
Dave, I need to ask you this with all sincerity because I love you and I've known you forever. Let me ask this as gently as I can.
Okay.
Why, sir, are you having a bad day? Why are you bitter? What's going on?
Thank you for serving that up, my friend.
You're welcome.
I'm very upset because I know that I should get over the fact of this year for our basketball team with ECU, men's basketball. But I'm really upset that we didn't make the conference tournament. And I'm really upset that yet again, I think it's 33 years I've had to wait. And not that I'm the only one. We have a lot of people who were remember 1993 and not even born. So they don't know about 1993 making the big dance. We only have 2.
Oh
boy, Dave's having a rough night.
He really is.
He is so disappointed. Dave is so disappointed about not the basketball team not making the conference tournament. It's affecting his service tonight.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I don't know what's going on because it's not on my end. So like I can't. It's not happening.
All right. How about Dave? High Point and who's he? Is he back?
Sort of, kind of.
Let me talk amongst yourself. Maybe I don't know what's going on tonight.
Johnny, you mentioned High Point. That is a dangerous High Point team, and they can shoot the basketball. I'm going to look up the brackets, but that's going to be a sexy pick.
Yeah, I was curious who they were matched up against because I agree with that. Do you know the president of High Point last year? They made the NCAA tournament last year. He chartered a plane for the students to go to the tournament, and he also chartered 3 buses for the students to go to the conference tournament. And apparently he's going to be doing the same thing again. I don't know how you make the cut to get on the plane. I don't know how that works. But he's chartering a plane for the students to attend the NCAA tournament. How cool is that?
You got to love it. A small school like that, having their one shining moment. And
they got money though.
Yeah, I'm pulling for them hard to win the first round game for sure.
Are we still talking about High Point as I come back?
Yeah, we're talking about High Point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm very happy for Johnny and Alan. Let me be very clear. I'm very happy for High Point. But we have way more resources than High Point.
Oh, I don't know, Dave. You might want to check that.
Really?
I'm serious. They are. Do you know they have a 5-star hotel and the basketball arena? And it's like for the students have 5-star restaurants or a 5-star restaurant. They are loaded. They got statues everywhere. Go to YouTube and look up a video for High Point facilities. You'll be amazed. It's better than some Big Ten schools. I guarantee you, SEC schools.
I know that they do have a president who is spending a lot of money on athletics. I do know that. I'm just simply saying I'm not criticizing them.
I know. But I'm going to make your point for you.
Okay, thank you.
Queens is in the NCAA tournament. That should never happen. They should never get there before us, ever.
Right.
But how long have they even been Division I? They're already in the NCAA tournament.
But that's my point, is putting an emphasis on something. And I will keep saying this. Please, 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 I'm begging you. Let's talk something. Why is it that every single year we have to talk about this? Why did our team not make it? We didn't make it because we don't make a commitment to basketball. Just because we're spending a little bit more money, we need to be number one in America. I don't want to hear about Memphis. I don't want to hear about how other schools can do that. If we put an emphasis on basketball, we would be good. We don't care about basketball. And the reason why we don't care about basketball, I mean, I don't know, but we give up and say, well, there's Duke and North Carolina, and there's NC State, and there's this team. But High Point is a perfect example, and I'm not knocking them. I'm really happy.
No, they're an example of how to do it.
Right. That's
in
correct.
my opinion.
That's correct. So when you put emphasis on basketball like High Point did, they get the results they want of winning conference. I think this is 2 in a row, right? They've won 2.
Yeah, 2 in a row. But one thing to consider, Dave, is what do you think about this, Alan? They don't have a football team, so their rev share can go much heavier to basketball.
Right.
Right.
And I was gonna bring that up. I'm glad you brought that up before I did. That they don't have, and I understand that, but still, we have I believe, what is our athletic budget is over 50 million, right? 54. I mean, are you telling me that High Point has a budget over 54 million?
I don't know. I would check it out though.
On the court, they were 30-4 this year, and they played Wisconsin on Thursday at 1:50 in Portland, Oregon. Filling out
wow.
5-12 matchup. How many brackets are going to take High Point to the second round just because that's there's a 5 that loses to a 12 every year.
Dang it. Alan, you just crushed me. You've already ruined my bracket. Because I thought High Point would be good value, but Wisconsin's one of those teams I think they're just fundamentally sound and they don't make a lot of mistakes and they're not fun to play. I thought they might be able to win a few games, but now they're playing High Point.
Yeah, they're not. Wisconsin's not quite the Wisconsin of old. They're not.
No, they're not. But
I really believe it's all about with High Point. It's all about.
They have good guard play. That's the thing. That's what wins tournament games.
Yeah.
Guys, I did want to say if you want to talk more about the tournament, we can. But I did check, and I knew this was going to be the case. The women obviously didn't make the tournament, the big dance. However, I do believe, like Kyle, that tomorrow we'll find out the 2026 WNIT field. And maybe we don't because we don't have a quote unquote brand name, but 22-10. I'm sorry, I feel like they should have a shot at making the WNIT. We'll see how that plays. But Kim McNeil has done a great job with that program, and I would love to see them be able to play some more games.
They're certainly going to be in consideration, I think, for the WNIT. I do think it's a stretch a little bit maybe for them to get in. I hope I'm wrong, but they certainly should be there. They came within an eyelash of winning Friday night. They kind of went cold at the very end, and they had a lead several times during the game, just could not close the deal. But 22-10, that is fantastic. Coach McNeil, we've talked about it on this show many times, is doing a wonderful job in every facet of ECU Lady Pirate basketball, and we're proud to have her, and we should make sure that we have her for a long time to come.
Absolutely, because the basketball team is now the brand of basketball for women's basketball that she brings with the high energy as far as the defense is concerned. We actually did a better job. I feel like this year we have a lot of good shooters on the team, just players that are really meshing well together. And I don't know how many kids will be back next year, but I look forward to it. And again, let's hope that WNIT is a possibility for our ladies for sure. Want to remind everybody too, while we have a chocolate, let's talk some football really quick. Friday is a deadline if you want those 10 priority points. So make sure you go ahead and renew your football tickets for season. But anyway, that will be great to see. Blake Harrell deserves to have a lot of people at games. I love how the upper deck, $75 season ticket. Are you kidding me? Like, what is that? $12.50 a ticket with 6 games? I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, the administration is trying. I do believe that part is fine, but still, let's give out tickets to church.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what he's talking about. Hey, while we're waiting for Dave, I have the TV on, but it's muted, but I'm looking at it, and that's the women's bracket. High Point's playing Vanderbilt, so the women made it too. I'm sounding like I'm a member of the High Point fan club. I'm not. I want to beat them I want to be better than them in everything. But
what for both the women and the guys to make it? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but Alan, I agree with you. I mean, Kim McNeil's bringing us something that we can get excited about. Like, we legitimately have a chance to be nationally prominent. I mean, that's something that we should embrace. And she lost a lot of players last season. My went to, where'd she go? I'm not even sure.
LSU.
Yeah. Okay, LSU. And she didn't let that stop her. So I'm looking forward to next year. I'm going to get more into women's basketball. I've still never been to a game. Still, I tried 3 times this year and never made it. So
it's tremendously entertaining, and I'm not just saying that. The women are a brand of basketball that you'll like. And McNeil, she's a great defensive coach as well. They play hard, they hustle. They do all the right things under Kim McNeil. And if you don't do the little things and do the fundamentals, you don't see the court. And that's the way it is with Kim.
Yeah. And I like the fact that she sells her program. She's come on our show since she got here in 2019, and we need to make an effort to get her back on.
Get her back. We can throw some praise at her.
Yeah, because she's a tremendous individual. She's a great coach. And I'll tell you something right now. If you want to say, like, where, how do you know when you have a great coach, when they'll run through a brick wall for you? Kim McNeil is that person, just like Cliff Godwin, just like with Blake Harrell. And I think even with men's basketball, I don't think that Mike Schwartz lost the locker room. I think there are people that were still playing hard for him, even at the last, up until the game.
They never quit.
Yeah. So
nope.
We can definitely say that, but please, for the love of God, let's make our basketball program top notch. I don't want to hear the excuses anymore about Memphis. I don't want to hear any.
It's FedEx though. I gave you the numbers.
I know that, but look, when it comes down to it, if that were the case, we wouldn't have an indoor practice facility. If that were the case, we wouldn't have base expansion. We haven't. Listen, Johnny, it comes down to priorities in life. My children are my number one. You guys know that. Just like I know with Alan, he's still a great dad, and his kids are all grown up, and he and Jamie are now empty nesters out for the last few years, right? So, but he's a great dad for sure. And so it's about priorities. That's the word. We have the money. We don't have the big schools like money, but we have the money to be relevant in basketball. It's just about making a commitment. If you said right now, we're getting ready to lose let's just hypothetically saying we're going to get kicked out of the American if we don't improve basketball, right? But we'll never get to another conference. No, but my point is, I'm not saying that's happening. Hypothetically speaking, you have to have the mentality that something like that's going to happen in order to get all right, let's make a commitment about basketball. But just imagine that. Just imagine if we were told, if you don't get your act together, you don't think that Gilbert would, and you don't think Gilbert and everybody at ECU will be putting. Oh, I see where you're going, Dave. Okay. Like, if they could make it happen if it was like an ultimatum. Right. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying I want to be out of the American. I'm not saying that I truly want to drop basketball.
No.
I just am very frustrated that promotions are terrible. They don't do a good job with selling season
No.
tickets.
They don't.
And again, it's not piling up on them or being mean. I'm trying to say that do this. If you do this, it will work. It will work with basketball. It's not easy. It's not an easy job, but Josh said we put 1.5 million, and how did that work out? Yeah, we did, Josh, but we missed on players. We had players injured. I think finally, and if we'd had the Gardner kid, I heard
that was their decision, Dave. They could have had him. They decided no.
Right. That's what I'm saying is that we waited, a few months, and he wanted to come, and we should have had him in September or I guess July, whenever. So anyway, that really, I noticed when the Gardner kid came in, and then a few weeks later, all of a sudden we kind of started looking like, okay, we've turned the corner.
Yeah, a very thin bench was the problem. Well, injuries too, like you all already noticed. I mean, already mentioned.
Yeah,
the injuries were a real thing, but still, I think we could have done better. What Josh was saying is what I've already said. Whoever spent that 1.5 million should be graded, and and there should be some discussion on who's going to spend the next money that we have. And I still think that we should hire a GM to be a GM and let Michael Perry do what he does best, or let Michael Perry be the GM and let someone else be on the bench and get him out of there. You just can't. If you want to be serious, Dave, and have a serious basketball program, you got to have a serious GM. And that sounds like this is no indictment on Michael Perry at all. I said that last time. I just don't know that it's fair for him to be the GM.
How many Division I programs have a gentleman who's a GM and a coach?
I don't know. I would think very few, but I'm not sure. I have no idea.
That's the question. I mean, Michael Perry is a fabulous person and a really good basketball guy. But,
no doubt.
But you can only do so much, and I'm with you.
Yep.
I agree, JR.
One or the other.
I would think it would be very difficult to be a coach and to travel and do all you have to do preparation-wise and also be the GM. I would think that would be a lot of responsibilities for one person to do both.
Well, we do know one thing, and that is it's like Elvis. I've said this before. It's now or never. Let's pretend like this is the last season of basketball if you have to. I don't want it to be the last season of Mike Schwartz, but if you continue to do the same things, the definition of insanity, let's put forth the effort. I'm asking the administration. I'm not being a jerk on this. Put forth promotional nights. Put forth promotions for getting the word out about season tickets, about everything you can possibly. We need to have a great night where we can get, I don't know, Petey Pablo or get an up and coming country artist or whatever to have a big night where they come in. And I'm just very frustrated that we can do better with basketball. And the thing that I'm frustrated about is low hanging fruit. These are things that are easy to do.
I agree. The thing is, do we ever see former players, when former players come back, are they ever recognized? When's the last time during a timeout we've hey, Lester Lyons is in the gym.
Exactly.
Let's give Lester a big round of applause. Stand up, Lester. 1993 NCAA tournament team captain Lester Lyons. Let's give him a big hand. Maybe they did that, but you just don't see that very often. And basketball has done enough over the years. We have some recognizable names. If they came back, they should be honored and recognized.
Josh says Michael Perry needs to be the assistant head coach, and we need to hire a separate GM. Johnny and I have talked about. Absolutely. See, for me, Michael Perry does know talent, no doubt. But let me say this. We need to have Michael Perry to be concentrating on, let's say, the transfer portal, right? Have the GM and he be that, work on that. I will say this. We need to have a coach. I've said it 100 times. Eastern North Carolina recruiting. and it's not David, Johnny, and Alan or Kyle or Stevie or Matt that's, like giving y'all a hard time. This goes back even Dooley. I mean, all the coaches, they just write off Eastern North Carolina like there's no way these guys are coming here. I guarantee you that you can get a few kids that are big-time players to come to East Carolina where you can tell them, you're going to be the star. Okay, Alan Vick, you're going to be the star. You're the 4-star guy. You're the 5-star guy. We are going to build this team around you, whatever you have to tell them. But that's something that's very frustrating. And maybe in the summertime, I would like to get Johnny and Alan and a lot of our favorite people and basketball people. Let's do a TSO basketball summit where when we have time in the summertime and we have less pressure. But anyway, let's go to our good friend Bubba Rosenbaum. Miss you, Bubba. How you doing, my friend? And Bubba, I'm going to text you off the air too. But the promotions were very good within the season. Did people show up with a free beer and 20 Sup Dog cards? Nope. About half unclaimed. And they shouldn't have, exactly, Bubba, they shouldn't have raised their ticket prices. I mean, what in the blank are you doing there when we've got to sell? Look, I would rather have a $10 ticket. Speaking of the way we doing it for football, why not give a $10 ticket for people that don't have season tickets in the upper bowl? Because I'd rather have people in there cheering. And another thing, guys, it is not cheap. If you've checked out, have you gone to the grocery store lately? Gas prices are high. Everything that should be down is up, and everything that's up, it should be down. I know that, what is it, $20-some now for a ticket for basketball? That's ludicrous.
Didn't we talk about $25 tickets? And then we talked about if you have a family of 4, that's $100. And that doesn't include concessions or drinks or any of that stuff. So it's an expensive proposition to go to a basketball game anywhere you go. And that's where ECU could maybe a $10 ticket and all you could, bottomless popcorn and bottomless drink or whatever. Whatever.
Here's what I would do. I agree with you on that, Alan. $10 tickets. Let's have like the AMC theaters. When the theaters have, you buy this big popcorn bucket that has ECU on it for $20 for a year, for a season. And you get to refill that as much as you want. At least we'd have do something. Something is better than nothing. And here's the thing. Bubba said the bottom line is if you don't know that much outside of winning 18 to 20 games consistently for a few years, is going to change this. He says he doesn't know. And he says it's a great point, Alan. Only letter winners weekend. That's exactly right. What we need to do is we need to have a few players of the game, old players that come in. Because when I was at the Knicks game last year, Matt and I met up, and my son Alex had a field trip to New York City. And we're sitting there, and they started naming all Patrick Ewing's here and all the former Knicks that were there. And they had them spread out throughout from Madison Square Garden. I'm not comparing Madison Square Garden to Minji's, but I am saying the best ideas are stolen. They probably were not the first ones to do it at Madison Square Garden for the Knicks, but it's really cool to put them up on the Jumbotron and have them there, have them, have the video where they, pump up the crowd or something. I don't know, but I do know.
We can have a Blue Edwards night or a Garrett Blackwelder night or Art Shelton night or a Lester Lyons, whoever, and just have some of their teammates come back and recognize them, at halftime and during the game, make a big deal out of it. And that to me, is that going to entice, 5,000 more people to come to the game? The only thing that's going to do that is winning. But at least you're giving people another reason that are on the fence about coming to a basketball game, maybe another reason to make the decision to go to a basketball game. And
let me give a shout out to Bubba, by the way, because I'm glad that, Bubba, that you are messaging here. You've got people like Bubba Rosenbaum and his mom and dad and everybody that come from a few hours away. If you look at the amount of gas they're spending, they've got to spend food on the road. They spend the tickets to get, get inside. You got to spend money there at the, potentially on the concessions or, Bubba. I love their, the merch, obviously, with the student stores has their little counter there. To think about it, you're spending a ton of money and let's face it, probably to watch your team lose. And that might be a bad. Well, I'm just saying, it's a lot of. Look, let me tell you this. I knew how Bubba felt when I took a train ride all the way to New York. I spent a lot of money to see my Pirates not play well against the Army, the Black Knights, and holding my arms into my ribs on a commuter train to get to the northern part. And then I had to take a Uber to West Point, Uber from West Point back to that train, then ride 2 hours holding my arms into and I spent a ton of money on hotels, the Amtrak, the whole 9 yards, October of last year.
Yeah. The bottom line here is, guys, this coming year is huge for a lot of reasons, for the trajectory of ECU basketball going forward, into 2027, 28, 29, and beyond. Some good things have got to happen this year, or some changes are going to be made, and that's something we're going to need to support Mike Schwartz 10,000%, do everything we can, and hopefully we'll be talking about success this time next year. But next year is a pivotal year for ECU basketball going forward.
Are we talking about getting talent on the court or butts in the seats? Which would really have?
Well, one will make the other one happen.
Right. So basically, here's the thing, Josh. I will tell you, this is like minor league baseball, where you have like these gimmicks. Anything you can do. There's this thing right now where it's crazy. I don't know how it started, but you guys, I love Three's Company growing up. They have this thing now where they have women dressed as Miss Roper from Three's Company. I don't know where. And so they go like these bar crawls or different things. Well, why not have a Miss Roper night and have a whole bunch of students or a whole bunch of people dress up as Miss Roper with that house coat on and that big afro wig, things like that, that are gimmicky, but yet they're fun.
Yeah, I love that stuff, Dave.
I don't know why, Miss Roper, why that started, but I see it from different places, like bars and different places have, singles groups and different things get together and have, the Eastern North Carolina singles group did back November, maybe it was back in the fall last year, where they'd have Miss Roper night and they went from different place to place. But maybe in the world, why in the world are we not doing stuff like that? And he said, got to have talent on the court. I know that we're talking about, my point is this. First of all, we need to have talent on the court. That is true. But we're not doing anything to help basketball off the court, promotion-wise, advertising-wise, giving tickets away. We've got to be doing a whole bunch of stuff, all the above. And you would think that place set 25,000, but you get in there when Alan can tell you, Johnny, I wish you were with us when, by the way, congratulations to Kinston. The Vikings, they are the 3A state champions, by the way. They beat Martin County, so I salute them. The guys that went off on us on scoring did the same thing on back this weekend, and so congratulations to them. But that crowd, they had 6,100 people in there, 6,100 people, and guess what? At $15 a ticket, and they made a boatload of money on concessions, the whole 9 yards,
and $10 to park.
15.
Was it 15?
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way. Somebody made some money when the high school basketball regionals were at Minji's Coliseum. Somebody made some money. Somebody made some money.
Well, my point is that I know that, everybody can say it's high school basketball, the regional finals, but that place was loud, and they didn't do it. And look, and the fact of the matter is, we can still create that same energy.
Yeah, I agree. The Memphis game, when we beat Memphis, when Suggs hit that, basket to win it, that was one of the best sporting experiences I've had. I mean, it was crazy. Everybody hugging each other, rushing the court. It was an awesome experience. It shows you what we could have.
And guys, we've got breaking news, not good breaking news. The women did not make the WNIT. I just double checked on that, and that's ridiculous. 22-10. I think we have a coach that's building a program. I don't know if we can do CBI or anything else, but that's just it's only a 48 team tournament. Apparently,
that sucks.
But not to bring everybody down.
Yeah, that sucks.
But the reason why I wanted her to get in there is because she's doing everything the right way. And I think that she's done a really good job with bringing in shooters. I mean, Johnny, off the air, myself, Bubba, others, we were talking about, we just don't have people that can shoot. Well, this year, I said, hey, I got to tip my hat because they worked their tails off and got people in here that could shoot by the basketball.
Yeah, no, that's unfortunate. That's terrible.
That deserves some postseason somewhere.
Yeah, no doubt. He says, I hear you, Dave, but butts in the seats doesn't win games. I understand that. I'm just saying. My thing is right now, here's what I'm saying, Josh. You and I are agreeing on that. What I'm saying is we've got to have some kind of game. We've got to do everything that we can to get people in the seats. And Bubba says, I'd love to know our numbers at concessions. We should try a $2 Tuesday concepts at the very least with with concessions for select games, something, because I'm telling you right now, we don't have professionals running concessions. That's a whole nother thing. It's especially bad for football. We've got to do a better job with that. We're not, and I'm not anti-Gilbert because I do know they have tried. But it sounds mean to say, but I'll say it anyway. If you are a charity, that's great. Why not take the money that we make and just say, listen, we're going to bring in Aramark and let them do all the concessions. And we will give, certain charities that have been doing it for years, we'll give them a donation. But I'm telling you, when you have East Carolina football winning and you have to stand there and there's some people that, I'm not kidding, Alan can tell you, there's some people that have missed a quarter of football because they've had to stand in a long line.
Yeah, I've been there before, Dave, and I bail. I just refuse. It's not, I don't need anything that bad that I'm going to miss it. But hey, I have a couple of comments about the basketball situation. The first one is, you talked about us doing a roundtable maybe in the summer on basketball. Why doesn't, maybe they should consider doing a roundtable on how to attract more fans? I mean, they seriously needed they need to get other people involved, like Bubba Rosenbaum. All joking aside,
yeah, I love Bubba.
If they were to use him as a consultant, like, hey, just get people's, like you said, him and his family travel. They deserve a voice and maybe some insight that they're missing somehow. Right. And I just feel like that would be awesome if they could like somehow involve people like Bubba and his family. And then the other thing, what is our standard next year for keeping Mike? And I'm sorry, Alan, I know that you're a Mike Schwartz guy bigger than me. I mean, I like him, but I want results at this point. So I'm just curious, what is our what's a successful season to bring him back next year? I feel like we have to finish on the top half in the conference and win more home games. That's my feelings.
I would say this. I would have a criteria, and I'm sure probably John Gilbert has told him, look, let's be honest. He's friends with Schwartz, and he and Schwartz had a conversation, I'm sure. If it doesn't work out this year, most likely what will happen is Schwartz will resign, and that way he doesn't have to fire his friend. But let's face it, it is a results business, and I'm not knocking.
But what is work out? What does that mean if things don't work out? Define that. That's my question.
Definitely a losing season. If it's a losing season again, he's out of here.
Yeah, you're going to have for me, my opinion is wins top half of the conference. Obviously, you make the conference tournament at minimum. I'd say you got to win 16 to 17 games. I don't know if John is actually given Mike this is the cutoff. You got to do this. I mean, I don't.
Oh yeah, I'm not. No, I don't even think that should happen.
You never know how things are going to work out. But top 7 or 8 in the conference. You make the conference tournament, and you go from. And it's all about trajectory there as well. How is the team playing? You don't want to get off to a bad start, and you certainly don't want to end, poorly as well. So there's a lot of factors I think that are going to go into whatever happens the following year for ECU basketball after next year.
Yeah, Josh. If that happens, I don't think I think he'll just resign.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think if there's a losing season again, he'll resign. And I'm not telling him. I'm not asking for that in the now. But here's the thing. Like I said many times before, how long do we have to wait? How long do we have to wait before, we need to aim and say our goal is the NCAA tournament. We need to say beyond more than a winning season. Okay. He's capable of doing a winning season. We need to see conference tournament play. And I would add, it has to be NIT or the big dance, because here's why. I personally think that when you aim low, you're going to get even lower. Like if I said, all right, guys, when Dooley was hired again, Dooley 2.0, Brian Bailey, I told this story, I'll tell it again. He asked Joe Dooley, how many games do you expect to win this year? Dooley looked at him without missing a beat and said, all of them. Okay, so it's 31 games for the regular season. We're not going to win all those games, but if you go in the mentality, we'll probably win about 18. When you start doing that, then all of a sudden the numbers just go down. So you need to say we're going to win all of them. If we don't,
we lost him
again.
We did.
There you go. You're back.
Yeah. In fact, Josh said I called it for this year. Well, you know what? I'm simply saying it's embarrassing not to make the tournament. It's embarrassing to make the tournament.
Well, in the ebb and flow of a season, we will know by the end of December and the 1st of January next year kind of how things are going. All right.
Yeah. Listen, we could have lost to Elizabeth City State. The ref didn't call. I was sitting behind that bench, and we did foul them, and they didn't call the foul, and we escaped with a victory by 1 point. And I was just like, oh.
But on a positive note, we ended the season playing pretty good basketball.
Yeah. And Riley Jordan didn't play in that game, but I'm not making excuses. Hey, I would like to cite though, USF just won the conference tournament. They're going to the NCAA tournament. They were 13-19 last year, and their coach just passed away. And they put it together. I think they lost 2 conference games. Am I right about that?
Let me say that I'm looking at this women's WNIT tournament. Here, this sums it up right here, boys and girls. Wake Forest out of the ACC is 14-17 overall, and they got in. Think about that.
They're Wake Forest. Yeah, that's wrong. That's really wrong.
I don't know about strength of schedule, but there's a ton of 16-14. I see 18-14. So record-wise, we're right up there with everybody that's in the WNIT and better in a lot of cases.
And we were the number 2 seed. We finished second in the conference.
Is it possible we might have been offered a bid and turned it down?
No way.
I can't imagine that.
No way.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But it happens.
Yeah, it does happen.
It's not unprecedented that it happens. I don't think that's the case either, but it happens a lot. A lot. I would love to know if ECU was even considered, if they were on the board, whoever makes the decisions and picks the field for this WNIT, if East Carolina was in the conversation.
I agree, Alan, but you guys just glossed over. I posed a question. How does South Florida going from having their coach pass away and having a 13-19 season to going 25-8, 15-3 in conference, winning 11 in a row, and being in the NCAA tournament? How does that happen? What do they have that we don't have?
The player evaluation obviously was pretty darn good at South Florida. Look at Miami. Miami was 12-19 or whatever, and this year they're 24-7.
But I'm comparing other American teams.
Yeah, but
that 1 year turnaround is possible now. That's the one
It
positive
is.
about the transfer.
And maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll get it.
Well, I'll tell you this, I'm a huge fan of Mike Schwartz. I like him personally. He's been very good to us, the media, the whole 9 yards. But if we have the same scenario, I'm just saying, next year, if the end of the season, whatever, I will tell you he's got to go.
And nobody knows that better than Mike Schwartz. I guarantee it.
Yeah,
I guarantee it that he knows what the lay of the land is, and he knows what the expectations are. So
I would be drinking lots of coffee. I would be working my tail off because, like I said, and that's the thing. Please spend money on basketball. I've said it a lot. Please spend money on basketball, and that goes with the revenue sharing. That goes with spending money on anything basketball related. We need to really look at that hard because when we put all our money in football, we're putting a lot of money into football. Basketball is a revenue sport, and we don't put enough in there. And we're not a poor school. I don't want to hear that. We've raised a lot of. You hear about we've raised a lot of money for the Pirate Club, and we have. So if we've done that, that translates to people care. People love our school. We have the best fan base out there. Again, not being patronizing, I really believe that. And they want a winning basketball program. There's nobody out there saying I don't want basketball to win. Who would say that? And this fan base, if Olympic sports, whatever, they pull hard for whoever it is. And we know that football is what stirs the drink, but basketball is number 2. And we need it to. Basketball needs to be at the level of being that where it's a revenue generating sport and not losing money. I mean, that's without. I mean, it was. Look, you look at it. Thursday night for the Tulsa game, it was pitiful, right? Pitiful. And then the next night we're there. Alan and I are there calling the game. And if it wasn't for the fact Alan was close to me and I had headphones on, I would have been able to hear what he was saying.
Yep. Well, Guy, I think we covered all the bases that we could possibly cover with basketball. I wish nothing but the best for everybody involved. And I want to see somebody that's a high up in the administration get behind a podium and beat on that podium and say, damn it, we're gonna find a way to get better and be a winner in basketball. If it's the last thing I do, that you want to see that kind of enthusiasm. And that's what I'm hoping for from everybody involved.
Maybe some kind of dinner in the summertime or something where we can have former players there. And speaking of Bubba Rosenbaum, Bubba has, I think, 200 or 300 names of former basketball players. Not to call you out, Bubba, but call on him to get basketball players, call on former players. Yeah. TJ Long is a great example of a guy that we need to have on the show again. I thought about him last week. That we need to have back on. But he's a guy that helped put together what they did this year.
What would be wrong with an alumni game before a game? Have former Pirate players come back that are able and want to play and physically can play, and let's do an alumni game. That would be cool.
I would be there. I'd watch that.
Be there.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things and again, when we're talking about football, wouldn't you rather have if you have low numbers on a game, tell a church groups, civic groups, boys and girls club? Again, there's a lot of seats up in the upper bowl that are empty every game. If you have people there, those people buy stuff. More than likely, they'll buy drinks, they'll buy merchandise. It looks better on television. That Thursday night Tulsa game, I was so upset because I'm looking around. I'm like, it's almost like a practice or a scrimmage, But anyway, I don't want to keep you guys on. I know that it's after. But
hey, but remember, I did mention Davidson has a $50 ticket plan where you can buy a ticket for $50. You're not guaranteed a seat. If they sell out, you're out of luck. But Davidson doesn't sell out, so you can go and you can just sit in the best available seat possible. Obviously, if someone comes and it's their seat, you got to go. But I don't think they're charging enough. They should charge like $100 for that ticket. But still, you can buy a ticket that gets you in and then
by.
you can sit in the best available seat. And hey, for us, that would be courtside. You could sit courtside because those people don't show up half the time. You just see bags of, you see popcorn boxes never touched all along, and that's terrible too. We got to figure out something about that. Although I don't know what you can do. They're paying for the tickets.
As we sit here right now today, gentlemen, a lot of basketball seasons have ended for a lot of really good basketball players that could possibly come play for the purple and gold. Now
Bring them on.
Now is the time you start hitting that portal hard, and the future is now.
I'll say this really quick. I'll wrap it up and wrap up the show. I'm going to make Alan, Vic, and Johnny, I'm going to make you in charge of basketball, and I'm going to charge, what are you doing to make basketball better? And then we'll get out of here. I am putting you on the spot, Johnny, but I'm letting Alan go first so that you have a little bit more time to think.
Obviously, no, there's two things. Number one, you got to have better talent evaluation. You got to bring guys in that can shoot. You got to bring better guard play in. And second, we talked about it ad nauseum. You got to have better promotions and better reasons to bring people. But it all comes down to talent on the court. It's about the Jimmies and Joes, that old saying. You got to hit that portal hard. And again, you could find a kid or two locally. If you hit there, that's great as well. But you got to get some better talent on the court. You can't just have one guy, leading your team and scoring every game. You got to have more balance, better guard play, and better shooters.
Johnny.
I hire Bubba Rosenbaum to get things straight. That's what I do.
Hey, I would.
Or maybe Johnny Gardner could be his assistant because nobody knows hoops better than Johnny Gardner. I can tell you that.
Yeah, he is. He's tremendous, and maybe we can get him on basketball.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I would love to have Johnny Gardner. Come on, brother. You're welcome anytime. And who was it that asked? Oh, Justin Butts. What's up, Justin? Whatever happened to the Fan Engagement Council? That is a great question. We need that because like Bubba, for example, there are people that bleed purple and gold, and I'm not saying anybody's better than a Pirate or any of that kind of stuff, but Bubba's a perfect example, and he's probably like mad at us right now for like giving him a lot of attention. But I know Bubba extremely well, and I know how much he and his parents spend on. Well, I don't know the dollar amount. I'm just saying I know they spend a lot of money to come to ball games. They know what it's like. He also mentioned Dave Englert, that he and his wife Gail come to like essentially every home game for basketball, and they've done so for 2+ decades from Chesapeake, which is a couple hours away from Greenville, like maybe 2.5. Yeah, we're gonna have to work our tails off, and I hope they'll do that. Please, promotions, please. So the summary is better promotions, better like TLC for basketball. Obviously, talent evaluation is critical too. So, all right, guys, you want to get out of here?
It has been fun, gentlemen. Thank you so much again for having me. I always enjoy doing this. It's always a lot of fun.
All right, good luck to the Pirates as they have Elon, the Phoenix, on Tuesday, and of course Friday, Saturday, and Sunday UAB coming up. The Blazers. So we'll have them. We'll figure out when we can do the show for On Deck. And guys, I said that on purpose so that you guys can help me. We'll figure out at a time. But
before we go, Dave, let's just remind people to really keep a close eye on the weather tomorrow.
Thank you. I was going to talk about that. It's going to be really dangerous tomorrow. Martin County schools, along with other.
Hold on. In what respect? I got to travel tomorrow. I'm heading back to Virginia. What do I got?
We are in a very much above average severe weather situation tomorrow. The National Weather Service has given us a 4 out of 5 chance of having straight line wind, damage, possible tornadoes, thunderstorms between, say, 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. First time this has happened for our area since 2021. It's been 5 years since we've been put in this category. So tomorrow's weather could be rocky for sure.
You mean like tornadic activity?
Yes.
Yes.
Right now, I'm not a meteorologist, but people really need to follow their weather.
We consider you our meteorologist, though. You're the house meteorologist.
Yeah. You and Kyle know a lot about weather.
what really the best case scenario for tomorrow is if we would have a few non-severe thunderstorms come in the morning and kind of cleanse the atmosphere and stabilize the atmosphere. But if we get sun out tomorrow morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock, it gets warm, gets unstable, we could be in for a very rocky afternoon and evening around here tomorrow.
And all right, last comment, last call. Josh Thomas says Justin Butt should have been on tonight because he had a lot of questions about the umpiring this week. Justin knew that you were going to ask all the questions, Josh, and he said, "I'm going to sit this one out, guys, fellas."
Justin still thinks we beat Wichita State.
Oh man. No, Justin actually is a really good dad, and this is at the time. 8 o'clock is usually when he's putting his girls down, and so that's why he was not here. So anyway, he will be on. We got to figure that out, Justin. We got to figure that out, my friend, or a later start. But anyway, guys, we'll get out of here. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thanks to all our viewers and listeners. Another big show, by the way, and they stayed with us almost 2 hours, which is letting us know that I guess they have nothing better to do, or they are entertained, or somewhere in between. But I'll speak for myself, not for Alan and Johnny, that are amazing. So anyway, guys, have a great night. We'll get out of here. And as always, go Pirates.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.